Good morning. Today is Sunday, June 23rd, 2024, and this is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast. So, looking at where Bitcoin went in the past week and where it could potentially go in the future. So, this is the month of June. Again, we're more than 2/3 of the way through the month. So, we're closing in on July and Independence Day and all that. So, overall, June has been a down month. It was kind of ranging for a while and then it took a dip down. I talked last week about how we could potentially get back down to about 63 and 62. I'll explain that a little bit later. But yeah, no, this is not surprising. I'm not alarmed by this price action at all. Like we're really what happened was in March of last year. This is really January, February, March. We came up and we had about a 6-month consolidation period. So one was this you hit that peak kind of in March, that real end of the run up, and then you had April, May, June, July, August, September, and then you got to the end of the month in October. So I think the day was like Monday, October 23rd, when Bitcoin really just started ripping off to the upside. So then you had, and actually September had a positive month too. That is relatively rare because historically September is one of the worst months for Bitcoin. I'm not sure what the causality is behind that, but it just tends to happen that way. They're typically negative months. It may have something to do with the fact that actually I don't think September is the end of the quarter. It's the end of the third quarter. I don't know if that has anything to do with like the calendar of like when people are doing their different accounting activities and whatnot. But again, just typically that way. But anyway, October, November, December, and then January was kind of a up and down because this is when the ETF got released. February was actually the best month in absolute terms. Like it went up by $10,000 over the $18,000. I'm sorry, $18,630 over the course of the month of February, and that was the shortest month too, right? March, and then again, you get to March, and then you start consolidate again. Like maybe we assume that this is somewhat similar to what we did last year, or you got to March, you had this peak. I just don't think it'll last 6 months this time. I think we're close, very close to the edge to where we just start to go up because these were different conditions last year, very much different conditions than what it is, and you see it's more volatile, more up and down. So we'll go to the weekly chart. If you look at it, this is a very clear range over the last several weeks. So up and you see your bounds, right? Upward bound and your lower bound, and it's just been doing this little ping pong action, like back and forth tennis. Up and down, and then eventually you get to the point where it continues on to the upside. And the reason I said it could get back down to about 63, we'll see that a little bit better on the daily chart, is if it goes down, it hits this little area of demand here, and it also hits this area of support. You see the moving averages are well below this. I mean, let's say worst case scenario, even if it comes back down here, there's still a huge area of demand right here. That you pause for a second, there was some action right here, and then it just absolutely shot off. This is February still. I think that's super far fetched to even get this far. This looked like a bullish flag for a while, but then it just consolidated into a range. That's fine with me. So let's take a look for a second. We've already talked about what all this action was. So we had a couple things. So this is the end of 2022, the kind of the bottom of the bear market. Right here in November, you see this last major candle, and then this was the kill shot candle. It's like, okay, well, all hope is gone. But then it just started to reverse. It just kept on going. And so like it started to form this channel. And then the key hallmark of like parabolic action is the fact that it gets steeper over time. So you had this level of steepness, then the curve change. You got a little bit more steep here. And then you have like this action right here to where it's going up and down. And if you see it, I actually expanded this channel last week just a bit. I'm gonna take this purple line off, the support on the lower time frame, because that was broken. But we still have this support on the higher time frame too, and this is the high time frame, right? So, this kind of bouncing action back and forth here. So anyway, and again, I'll wait until we get down to the daily chart to talk about why I think this is going to turn around here. But again, it's gotten more steep, right? So we eventually broke through this long-term resistance is what it was. I had this as red for a long time, and now it's long-term support. I also have a Fibonacci right here that's drawn from the bottom of this move in January to the top of this move at, like early March. So this is, you draw this, and then you have your 0.382 level. You have your 50% level, which isn't actually a Fibonacci number, but it's, again, your 50% differentiator. 60, the 0.618 and the 0.786. As you can see, we haven't even been able to invalidate this 0.382 and close below it at least. We did go below right here, but we didn't get to the point where we could actually close below this, and that's important. So you have this support, you have this resistance area. These are your bounds right now. As soon as it breaks above here, your all-time high is not too far above that upper bound. Like we're just dancing around the all-time high. People are taking their profits. I get it. The demand has not really come in yet. The actual demand for this space has not really come in. Retail has not gotten into the space. You're starting to see corporations get into here. You're starting to see presidential candidates, both Donald Trump and Joe Biden, saying that they are in, Donald Trump gave a full-chested support of crypto, and he's, trying to be the crypto president. Biden was not for a long time, but you're seeing a shift to where just because Trump has done this, he has to at least soften his stance for political reasons, to his stance on crypto pretty much. So what we're looking at this point is a bouncy move. We'll go down to the daily chart too to get a little bit more resolution. Again, I told you we have a couple things going on here. So we hit to the top. You have this moving average. These moving averages, right? The white one, your blue one, and your purple one. So 50, 100, and 200. If I come off the bottom of this channel, I come up and hit the top of this resistance zone. I bounce off for a little bit. There's a second attempt, and then it just sends it all the way to the downside. That's fine. Last week, I talked about we could get down to about 62 or 63. And the reason being is there's demand, right? There's a imbalance, I should say. There's imbalance right here that needed to be cleaned up. I don't even have that on right now. That's fine. Yeah, so like there's imbalance in between this candle. And what it's done really pretty much is come down here to clean that up. It'll probably sit here for a second, a couple days, and then it'll turn around. So going into the end of the month of June, we're actually going into a new quarter in July. So starting in a couple days, we'll be in a new quarter. And then you lead into Independence Day and all that type of stuff. So this is I was talking about earlier, if you get to the end of the quarter, there may be some accounting things and whatnot. I haven't looked at June historically, but I'm just looking at the chart right now and looking at the fundamentals surrounding it and saying that once we hit here, there's not going to be really too much lower to go because you're starting to run into a lot of traffic. You've already breached the 50 moving average. You have not quite proven to me just yet that we can breach the 100 moving average. I think the 200 is almost out of the question. That's 57. The last time we got down to 58 was in early March, and this is when the ETFs were absolutely dumping. And let's take a look at that. This is the ETF spot flow. So I keep on talking about these cycles of expansion and compression. So it's like expansion right here when they first releasing this. Okay, compression, we're going to be quiet for a little bit. Expansion, and then this is a period of kind of like chilling out. This day that I was talking about was 5-1. So if you look at all the other days, this is one of the most heavily sold days for whatever reason. I'm not sure why everyone sold on this day, but if you look at it since then, there have only been pretty much net positive days. Now, over the last week or so, you have seen like these negative days, but still, we're in a good regime, right? The demand has decreased ever so slightly for a temporary point for Bitcoin, but again, once it starts going up, again, that demand returns. I think we're about to get into the point where retail starts to come into, and that's going to be the major catalyst because once retail gets there, that cycle just starts. We haven't seen the corporations really get there yet. I know earlier this week in the news, like you saw Michael Dell tweet about Bitcoin. Now, if he follows MicroStrategy's playbook and, he starts to incorporate Bitcoin into his corporate asset book, that's going to be big because again, this is Dell. Like they're one of the bigger companies in the world, right? They're huge for the infrastructural capabilities with computers and computer hardware. So that is incredibly bullish for me. Let's look at the news a little bit. Today is Sunday, June 23rd, and then you have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. There's no real news this week. No crazy news. No CPI, no inflation, no non-farm payroll. That's next week. We already FOMC that's happened, interest rates. So like that's all. We're at a slow part of the news cycle, economic news cycle, I should say. So. Consumer confidence, that's nothing. Your final GDP, unemployment, that happens all the time. Core PCE, none of these I see as any type of pivotal news. So it's truly just price action this week. In my mind, we're not holding our breath for anything. And then they talk about the fact that the Ethereum ETF could potentially start trading in July. So we're not. I keep saying we're not far away. We're not far away at all. So I'm telling you, it's probably gonna come down here, tap this, probably hold here for a second, and then shoot off to the upside. I don't see it fully retracing down here. I just don't see what the catalyst would be for it to break that downside and get all the way down here. It only got down to 58K on one of the heaviest selling days, and it has not even attempted to get back to those levels since. So again, heavy traffic, Fibonacci levels, you got your support here, you have a demand zone here, you have the bottom of this channel, you have the 100 moving average, you have the 50 moving average, and then 200 is down here. I told you this is kind of out of reach in my mind. But even if it does, you still have the 50, kind of almost that discount line right there. We're in a bull market, y'all. It's going up. Like, I'm not, there was a time to be bullish. That time was 2022. The time to be bearish was really all of 23. Especially now. It's 2024. Again, this is not financial advice, but I have not seen in all of my time of investing the stars align so perfectly for one asset class. Whether you call it a commodity or an asset class, whatever it may be, it's going up. It's just going up. That's fact. Like, I don't know. I've been talking about it for a year at this point, but I think that's where we're at, y'all. Like, nothing else crazy to look at this point. We're still in this holding pattern. Again, up and down. Just been doing it since March and February. So playing a little bit of tennis here, some ping pong, going back and forth. It's fine. It's all part of the show. You got to be patient. So again, this has been Chris Talks Crypto. Check out our crypto-based resources on christalkscrypto.com. Check out Pulse on Crypto. We're doing a lot of things over there, especially in the Discord. We dropped our top 50 token list a couple weeks ago, so check that out as well. And other than that, y'all, I will see you on the moon. Take care. Bye-bye.